I just want to invest in people that really want to be the best that they can be. Managers, it's Todd Scrima and Jim Reed and Robyn LaVassaur, and we're doing a podcast. I changed the format of this podcast to include smarter people than me. And so Robyn oversees for Summit Funding, she oversees the country for sales, EVP of sales. Jim Reed's a SVP, runs one of the largest branches in the country, has been a producer for, 27 years, and runs our entire coaching program. So super, super smart. And today we're going to talk about defining an A player. So one of the, you look at a branch, maybe there's 10 people in the branch. However, if those 10 people are A players and you got this amazing culture, you're going to kick butt. If you got 2 or 3 that aren't A players and there may be C or D players, it's going to be run, Will Robinson run. It's going to be a mess. And it happens. It's literally that. It's like golf and you're off 3 degrees on your driver. You're in the trees. And that 3 degrees is your people. And so that's the frame that we want to talk about. Who wants to start out? What's an ingredient, or what do they look like? Jim, give us a description.
Well, first of all, I want to say that you referenced a TV show that has not been on TV for about 40 years.
Sorry.
I don't even know the name of it.
Which means you two are older than me because I didn't even know it.
100%.
So.
It cracks me up the stuff that we remember, crazy. So listen, my thoughts on A players is this. So guys, if you're running a branch, and I've been running a branch a long time, and I work with a lot of people who run branches. And a common feeling that does not get articulated is that branch managers shy away from recruiting and hiring more loan officers or growing loan officers because they feel like it's just going to be more work and they don't have any more hours in the day. And I used to feel that way too. So then someone taught me, you, Todd, that what you're missing is skill development, because once you have some new skills, you'll be able to do more in less time, right? So one of those skills is hiring people, training people, and understanding the people that you work with. So we always say, hey, there's 3, there's A's, B's, and C's. And, to identify an A player may be easier for me to identify a C player because that's what they're not. Make sense?
Yep.
So you guys can give your definitions. So A's, B's, and C's. So here's the definitions that we use. An A player is someone who they show up to work every day on time. They work their schedule. They complete their task. They ask for more work, and they wow you on a weekly basis. I have one right now that's working for me who's brand new, and I'm doing my best not to get too excited, because she's wowing me early. Now, the fear, Todd, is if I go tell her how great she's doing, what I've seen in the past is they dip. So don't do that. But don't ignore it either, right? So an A player is simply defined what I just said. She's already wowed me twice today, okay? So that's an A player. If you're lucky, about 20% of a big company can be A players. If you're a small branch or a small team, the good news is you could have all A players. Right? So then a B player is role player. If you play basketball, they get rebounds and they outlet pass. When you pass the ball to them in offense, they pass it away really quick because they don't have the other skills. But they show up on time. You know what effort you're going to get. It's super consistent. They're good for your culture. They're just maybe not going to ever set the world on fire because it's not their priority in life. But they're a good, solid B players. I'll take those people too. The C players are the ones you got to watch out for. They're the ones who sometimes show up like an A player and get your hopes up just to let you down and break your heart. That's a C player. That's the opposite of an A player. And we always want to blame ourselves, Todd, like we could have trained them more and we could have hired better and it's our fault. I'll work on me first. And I love that about our culture at Summit and our culture in Next Level Coaching. I love that because that's really what allows us to grow. Whenever I think I know it all, I know I'm done growing. So I love that part. But it's not the truth when it comes to a C player, because watch out for this. Just when you're like, wow, you busted them, you wrote them up, Robyn. Maybe you had a conversation, a heart to heart, and you had a conversation and you tell your friends, wow, I think we got it fixed. And for the next 2 weeks, Todd. They're in there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they got their checklist turned in on Friday, and they asked you for more work a couple times. About 4.5 weeks is my 27 years experience, hiring 82 people for the same position over that time. Yes, I failed a lot. They just get you going and then let you down over and over again. So for me, the simplest way I can help you get A players is to identify the C ones and get them out.
Yeah, 100% everything you just said. Robyn, your thoughts about hiring A players?
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that you can also grow an A player, but entitlement starts day one. And what I mean by that is that entitlement starts day one in every employee. So if you don't set ground rules in any relationship and anything that you are doing, if you don't have your expectations mapped out, then for sure somebody will set their own expectations, right? If you have, I had a young lady, we forgot to set out the expectations, and day 3, the first 2 days she comes in very spiffy, and by day 3 she was in jeans that had some holes in them. Still looked nice on the top, still had heels on, literally in jeans with holes on them. We don't wear jeans in our branch. It's not okay. But entitlement starts early. And so what I would say to that is that something that I find in leadership in general, and everybody that's a branch manager, when I'm coaching, when I'm talking with them, is that they don't hold people accountable early on. They don't set clear expectations. And then employees, by nature, we're all of us push the rules. Is that fair? Every single one of us human beings, we test the limits a little bit. You ever seen kids react to a substitute teacher, or, see what they can do when, maybe dad's not home, but mom is, or they got a babysitter? I mean, we're literally built that way as human beings, and our employees are no different. And so what I would say, there's 2 different things that I think are really critical. One, as salespeople, we tend to fall in love with everybody. So you need to have somebody interview that has great discernment on your team. If you're the only one, get help. Summit's great for that because we have an HR team that does a really nice job who are willing to second interview. Every person should be a little longer process, slower to hire, to make sure those A players stay in there. The other thing is that when they are hired, you have to set the tone high, set the bar high. If you as a leader are not exemplifying A player behavior, and or the rest of your team, people will rise, right? I used to watch my daughter play soccer back in the day, and we would play this team that's ranked way lower than us, and they're really sloppy, and they're playing kickball instead of really good soccer. And next thing you know, our soccer team looked like what? A kickball team. They're kicking and running and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and you're like, what happened to our team? Now, on the contrary, we'd play a team that had a bunch of, D1 athletes already signed, and we'd get up there to some big soccer tournament, and all of a sudden our girls would rise to the occasion and we'd play neck and neck. Now, we'd likely end up losing to that team, but I'll tell you what, our girls played the best game they've ever played. And so what I would say is that what your team looks like right now is literally the pool of water you're putting your next player into. And so B players create a lot more B players. C players for sure create more C players. It is very hard to be the lone A player in any environment and remain that way.
When you started off and you were talking and you said, however you said it, I'll try to repeat it, but you're like, hire somebody and then kind of ease them into accountability because you don't want to scare them off. That's not what you said to do. It's what you said not to do. And I'm sitting there going, oh, that was the first 15 years of my career.
Yeah,
because people don't want to do it, right? They don't want to be the bad guy. They want to be.
I don't want to hire somebody again, Robyn. I'm afraid I'm going to scare them off.
Yes.
So I make a bad choice on fear and operating from scarcity instead of abundance, and I ruin the whole dang thing.
You literally see people all across the country that we coach be held hostage by their employees instead of be the leader, the true leader of their employees. It's kind of crazy. But that's because that entitlement seeped in over time, and they weren't willing to hold accountable, be clear, firm, kind, direct, and help people grow. And eventually they leave you anyways because they're not fulfilled. They're not fulfilled being a B player either. And really, they might have had an A player in there, but you wouldn't get uncomfortable and help them find it.
Nice.
I'm going to take, first of all, 100%, Robyn. I will tell you, Robyn comes to me a few months ago and says, hey, I want me and you and the executive team to go to Amplify, Renee Rodriguez's 2.5-day leadership training. And it's 50 grand. I'm like, nope.
That's an easy no.
She calls me on the cell phone and says, that needs to be a yes. I said, you're that convicted on it? She said, yeah. So we did it. So I took it. He said something that fits into this. He says, every single person in their life is either how they act is either honoring their past or they're trying to heal their past. And I thought about this, such a simple statement. So now let me tell you a story. Have a gentleman just started on Tuesday in a higher level leadership position. When I first interviewed him, I said, hey, tell me about, I always ask this question. I said, tell me about how you grew up, what your parents were like, where you were raised, did you go to college? Like, give me a 5-minute overview. And he looks at me and he says, Todd, I was born in the Ukraine and we escaped when I was 7, and we had $28 to our name when we landed in the United States. My parents were both educated, but they didn't transfer to this country, and we did not know how to speak the language. And he says, I remember every night I would do homework in an office building, different office buildings, because my parents were janitors for $4 an hour. And they had 3 jobs each. He tells me when he starts on Tuesday, because he finished at his previous company the previous Friday, Monday was a holiday. I said, how was it? He says, it was pretty exhausting. I said, what do you mean? You're winding down your stuff? He says, yeah, I worked about 78 hours last week. I said, you're exaggerating. He says, nope. My last night, I worked until 9:30 at night. So pay attention. How you're raised has a lot to do with how they act. Any person that we've ever coached, and between Robyn and Jim and myself, we've literally coached thousands of business people, thousands of branch managers. And that story reverberates over and over and over. I know Jim and Robyn's story. They know my story of growing up on a farm and all that stuff. That is their fiber. That's who they are. That's that dedication, that commitment, that drive. That's he says, like, Todd, I was so happy to be in America. So it's not just work ethic. He's showing me gratitude. He doesn't have entitlement. He comes here. I said, Bud, I'm sorry, we just moved offices. We don't have an office for you. Don't worry about it, boss. I'll sit on the ground. That's what he said. What kind of SVP talks to you like that? Like, I'll sit on the ground. That's what he said. Zero ego. Just wants to get in and get going. You got to pay attention to how they were raised and what their parents taught them. That's super important. That'll tell you it'll give you a strong indication if they can be an A player.
Yes, asking better questions will get you better answers in general. And I would rather say no than yes. Like Jimmie said, man, once you hire them, the worst thing in the world is to let somebody go. And there's a saying that we've all heard and we've all kind of lived by is there are no bad employees, there are only bad leaders. And what I say is that leadership starts in the day that you hire them. Sometimes we hire people we know we shouldn't hire, but we hire them because they applied. Simply that, right? We know they're not the right fit. I've made that mistake before, knowing they're not the right fit deep down inside. And I take them anyway because I need somebody, because I'm desperate, instead of trusting that I need to go out there and find the right one and make sure we're in alignment, right? Mutual value there. I can add to their life. They're going to add to our business and our lives, and it's going to be a win-win.
Yep.
100%. I got 2 comments. The sun just came out behind you, Robyn, and you look like an angel. Guys, as a branch manager, you're talking to 2 branch managers that make multi-millions a year. So these are professionals. They know what they're talking about. We have a professional coaching program. I want you to listen to them, right? I want to be direct. Listen to these. Listen to them over and over again like I do when I listen to Good Bod podcasts. We keep them sharp. We keep them sweet, super bright. It'll give you some ideas on how to run a better branch, because the biggest miss in America is people don't know how to grow big branches, right? You can't have 2 loan officers and really do well. When you have 30 loan officers, you make multi-millions. Like, figure it out. We're here to help you with that. It's a big job, and there's lots to it. Last thing, if we all have branch manager buddies, text them or send them this video, right? This podcast. Let's sign up for it so you get it on a regular basis. We're going to do about one a month coming at you. They're short, sweet, and powerful. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Jim and Robyn. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.